Hi everyone, it's Sandy and today I'm doing my November wrap-up. I had a really good reading month. I read 7 books. Let's get started with the first book that I read this month. In the Afterlight by Alexandra Bracken. This is the 3rd book in the Darkest Minds trilogy. Since this is the 3rd book, I can't talk much about it without spoiling anything. The Darkest Minds trilogy is one of my favorites and I love how this trilogy wrapped up in this book. It did feel slow at times since a majority of the book had the same setting and there wasn't that much action in it, but I still love the book and I thoroughly enjoyed it. Ruby and Liam frustrated me throughout the entire book, but nonetheless I love them. I love the dynamic that the characters have with one another, and I was just very sad and emotional after I finished this trilogy because it is one of my favorites and I'm sad that it's over. I haven't read Sparks Rises yet, which is the novella between Neverfade and In the Afterlight. And I know it's about Sam. At first, I was like, who is Sam? I thought Sam was a guy. You know, Sam could be either a guy or a girl's name. And then I remembered in this book. Overall, I would give this book a 4.5 out of 5 stars. To be honest, I think the first book would have to be my favorite in the entire trilogy. I know lots of people say that the second book is their favorite, but for me, I really like the first book. The next book that I read is Like Water for Chocolate by Laura Esquirol. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong, but this is a school book, so I'm not going to go into depth about this. I'm just going to say that I give this book 3 out of 5 stars. I thought it was okay, not the best thing. I did have fun reading it with the magical realism in it. The next book that I read is Mockingjay by Suzanne Collins, the 3rd book in the Hunger Games trilogy. As you guys know, the Mockingjay movie came out this month. I read this in preparation for that movie, and I also participated in the Carpe Librum book club. They were having a read-along with this book with the hashtag WeBurn. The Hunger Games is one of my all-time favorite trilogy. It always has a place in my heart. Although Mockingjay wasn't my favorite in the trilogy, I love the book and I love the movie. And Jennifer Lawrence is just the perfect Katniss. The way she executes her lines is just spot on perfect. And the ending of Mockingjay Part 1, that broke my heart. Ugh, I can't believe we have to wait a year for the next movie. So like the first time that I read this book, I give it a 5 out of 5 stars. Next, I read Dream Boy by Mary Crockett and Madeline Rosenberg. This is for Bookbusters November Book of the Month. This book is about a girl named Annabelle who has dreams about this boy named Josh. And one day Josh walks into her class and now he's not a dream and he's a reality. That's where the story pretty much begins. I was kind of surprised by how much I enjoyed the book. I didn't have high expectations going into it. There weren't that many things that I disliked about this book, but there weren't that many things that I liked about it either. So I'm in between. Martin is the main kind of love interest in this book. He is the dream boy. In her dreams, his name was Josh, but in reality, his name is Martin. I don't know if that's confusing or not, but I didn't really like his character and I didn't really like the romance between them. This was a book that I read through really fast and I did enjoy the book. I would give it a 3.5 out of 5 stars. If you want to hear more of my thoughts and the thoughts of the members in Bookbusters, I will leave the live show link down below if you want to check that out. The next book that I read this month is The Retribution of Mara Dyer by Michelle Hodkin. This is a book that everyone has been waiting so long for to read. The Mara Dyer trilogy has never been a favorite trilogy of mine, but it is one that I have highly enjoyed. I love all the plot twists in this book and I love how the story kind of ended like a full circle from the very first book. If I had to pick a favorite book from the trilogy, it would definitely be The Evolution of Mara Dyer, which is the 2nd book in the trilogy. I honestly just wish there was more Noah in this book, and overall I would give this book a 4 out of 5 stars. The next book that I read is The Kiss of Deception by Mary E. Pearson. This book is about a girl named Leah who is a princess and she flees on her wedding day. She stays at this inn where she runs into 2 guys, and one is an assassin that is sent to kill her and the other one is the prince that she was supposed to marry. And like everyone says when they talk about this book, you don't know who is the prince and you don't know who is the assassin. Their names are known, but you don't know which role they play. I really did enjoy this book. I was a bit hesitant going into it because there was a lot of hype surrounding this book and I was scared that I would not like it, but I was wrong. I really enjoyed this book. I really liked Leah's character and I really liked the storyline overall. I did feel like the romance between Leah and one of the guy characters was a bit rushed, but I did really enjoy the book and I can't wait to read the next one. I would give this book a 4.5 out of 5 stars. The last book that I read in November is the book that I did not expect to finish so soon. I actually finished this book about 2 hours ago, and that is Dare You To by Katie McGarry. This is the second book in the Pushing the Limits companion series. This story follows Beth and Ryan. Beth is a character that was shown in Pushing the Limits, and now she's a main character in this book. My favorite aspect of all of Katie McGarry's books, I've only read 2, but are her characters. Her characters, I love their background story, and I love how that shapes who they are and how that sort of changes them throughout the story. When I read Pushing the Limits, I did not like Beth's character, but that was because I did not know her. In this book, she's the main character, so obviously you get to know her, and I liked her a lot more in this book. Although she was frustrating at times, she was a really interesting and enjoyable character. With the whole romance, for me, at first it was hard to believe that they loved each other. I can see the attraction that they have, but the feelings that they feel, that was a little bit harder to believe. But by the end of the book, I was sold. Isaiah's character, who was in Pushing the Limits and is also in this book, his character was left with a bunch of loose ends, and I know that he's a main character in the next book, Crash Into You. From what I've seen so far, that book is everyone's favorite. It does have a really high rating, so I definitely hope. I really love that book. I really did enjoy Pushing the Limits and Dare You To. I gave them both 4.5 out of 5 stars. That is it for my November wrap up. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching. Bye!